think that way.
Right.
So, and that's just from an entrepreneur side of things. We're not even talking about investments. So
Hmm.
let me ask you this: the 401ks or the IRAs. What are your thoughts? I mean, you think that's the same thing as a what? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think they suck. To be frankly honest,
Yeah.
they're awful. They're
Okay.
awful. If
Okay.
I knew if I knew in my 20s what I know today, I would have never put a dime in a traditional pre-tax 401k.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this. What do you think the actual realistic number would be for retirement?
Okay, so here, this is the whole conventional. The question that you're asking is the big question that is asked in conventional wisdom, because conventional wisdom is based on saving and building up this mountain of money in the form of mutual funds or stocks or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
so you build this up, and these are mutual fund stocks bonds that typically don't produce any cash flow. So
Mm,
you have, let's say you have $1 million in this portfolio, and then and you stop working, and then in order to generate the cash flow to pay your bills, you start selling off pieces of that mountain of money every year to pay your bills.
mm,
So financial advisors use something called the 4% rule. So if you, and what they say is that you can probably sell off 4% of your portfolio every year, and you won't run out of money before you run out of life. So but it's really, I think it's not the right question to ask. The real question is, what do I want my income to be in retirement? Because we can't live on a mountain of, of mutual funds. We have to have cash flow. So what do I want my income to be? So let's take an example. Let's say, when you decide you want to quit your job for whatever reason, you want to have an income of $100,000 a year. So if you apply this 4% rule to that $100,000 a year and do the math backwards, you need a $2.5 million 401k portfolio. And do you know how many Americans are millionaires?
mm,
8%, much less multimillionaires. So that means that this whole system doesn't work for 92% of the population. It works for those 8% that are going to be millionaires or multimillionaires.
mm,
And now we could say, well, maybe we're a little greedy. Maybe 100,000 is too much. The median income in the United States is around $63,000. So if you apply the 4% rule to that $63,000, you still come up with a $1.5 million portfolio, which
mm.
again, less than 8% of the population is ever going to have that much money.
Right.
And now what's happened over time is that they're finding out that the 4% rule isn't really working anymore. And
Mm,
so now they're talking about a 3% rule. So now if you take that $63,000 median income and apply the 3% rule, now you're back up to over a $2 million portfolio. So
mm,
this whole system just is broken.
mm. So let me ask you this. Where maybe let me ask you in a different way because you said that maybe that's not the right question. So let me ask you this here, right? Do you think I should save up, let's say, I don't know, I'm coming up with a number which makes sense, it does not make sense, I really don't know. Okay. 150 for my medical only. Okay. Or maybe, I don't know, 180 just for my car repair buy slash whatever, right? Or maybe another 100 for groceries and my medicine. I mean,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that? I mean,
So
that how you
yes,
divide it?
here's how I approach that. Everybody who has a desire, and I always like to say, look, there's nothing wrong with working. If you love what you do and you want to keep doing that until you can't do it anymore, that's great. If you would like to do something different because that's the thing you love and it doesn't produce a lot of money, that's okay too. So I would want to get, certainly nothing wrong with working, but at some point people are going to want to or maybe need to not work anymore. So what I think, the way I approach it is, what are my expenses on a monthly basis? If I have $10,000 a month of expenses, then I need to have $10,000 a month of income. Where am I going to get that $10,000 a month?
Mm,
That could come from, if somebody has a job that has a pension, some of that cash flow could come from there. Some people buy annuities. There is Social Security, or you have some type of an alternative asset that produces cash flow, like an apartment building or a self-storage or a single family rental. So the way I look at this is, how many chunks of $1,000 can I continue to find and stack on top of each other to come into my, into my bank account every month to fund my bills, and then all the fun stuff I want to do just beyond the basic living necessities.
But Chris, with your example, I have 10,000 per month. Okay. Now I don't have extra money to go and put investment on, let's say, a mortgage home, which I can get rent from to make my 10,000 per month. So what are your thoughts on that part now?
So wait a minute. When you're saying you have $10,000 a month of, I didn't understand your
No,
question.
okay.
Sorry.
So when you just said that your budget is going to be at 10,000 monthly, right? For your mortgage, for your electrical and everything else, right? I don't have extra money cash to invest on a different business or an investment as a risk to save yourself for your future old age or elderly age. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so so I think what you're describing is a situation where you're like, so the only money that anybody has to invest is the money that's above and beyond their living expenses. So I think you're saying, okay, I make $10,000 a month, but my expenses are $10,000 a month. What am I supposed to do? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Exactly my point.
You got to make more money somewhere. I mean, I can't solve it. So everybody has to. So one of my principles is everybody needs to be the best at whatever they do. So whatever you do for your job, you need to be the best at that, so that you continue to get raises and you continue to move up the pay scale, so that someday your expenses are $10,000 a month, but you're making 15. Now you've got an extra 5,000, or you need to partner up with somebody to help fund an investment, or you get a second job, whatever. But this is just life.
But Chris, if that's the case, thank you so much, by the way. And so basically, are we all saying, I mean, the way the world is going is that we have to think out of the box sometimes. And we also think of having a second job and a third job in order to make that investment and that savings and that thought process and the safety net for your retirement?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's an individual thing. So people have, everybody they've got income and they've got expenses, and everybody has to live within those expenses. And I guess what you're describing is that there's somebody who so they make $10,000 a year, and there's no way that they can ever make any more than that. I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chris. So let me ask you this here. What does business mean to you according to your book and according to you itself?
Yeah. Well, so my business is investing. I don't make widgets. I don't sell, other than my book. I don't sell any products. So my business is investing, and I set up business entities to do my investing, because that provides advantages in terms of asset protection and tax benefits. So I'm treated, if Chris Odegard goes out and invests, I'm treated one way by the IRS. If Chris Odegard sets up a company and that company makes the investment, the IRS treats that company differently than it does me, and it treats it better. So to your kind of previous question about, well, where do people come up with more money? Well, the low-hanging fruit is taxes. Most people are paying way too much in taxes because they haven't taken the time to either partner up with somebody who's really good with taxes, or read a book like Tax-Free Wealth from a guy named Tom Wheelwright, who's the smartest tax guy in the country. Because what Tom would say is that the tax code, 95% of the tax code is telling you how to pay less taxes. You just have to do the things that the government wants you to do, that the government thinks is good for the country and the economy. One of those things is real estate. Another one is energy. Now, if you go put your money in a mutual funds in a 401k, the government's not going to reward you for that, but they are going to reward you if you provide affordable housing for people, or if you're involved in exploring or doing something with either fossil fuels or green energy, they're going to reward you from a tax standpoint. That's one of the easiest ways to keep more of your money, is to pay less in taxes.
Yeah, Chris, thank you again for that. What does technology mean to you?